Hey guys, how are you doing today? Happy Sunday. This video is going up today. What's today's date? July the 17th, 2022. It's Ask B. Wiley. So what Ask B. Wiley is, if you're new to my channel, is where I pull questions from you guys, the audience. You ask me questions, whether that be on my social media. Speaking of social media, Coach B. Wiley, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. Ask me your questions, shoot me a DM or an inbox, or go to Quora.com, Quora, and ask me a question. Search B. Wiley on Quora, okay? And ask me a question and I will address it in a video. So today's question, the first one that came up, and now it says, and my computer gives me a message. Hold up. All right, it says she isn't ready for a relationship yet because she was hurt in her past and is overwhelmed with work, but really likes me. She said she needs time, but doesn't want to force me to wait. Her friend said she likes me as well. Am I overthinking? I don't know about the overthinking part, but I will say this. When someone tells you something, I learned this from Judge Lynn Toller. When someone tells you something such as, I'm not interested in you, or if they're not directly coming out and saying it, because a lot of people won't, if they're going about it in a broad way and not really giving you a direct signal, like, yes, I'm interested in you romantically, then they're not. Someone that's not interested in you may be too bashful, may be too shy, may not want to hurt your feelings. It just may be awkward to come out and directly say, I'm uninterested. However, they will use other excuses, such as, I like you, but I'm really overwhelmed with school, but I'm working a lot. And so, hey, that's the answer, and it's on you to figure it out. If you find yourself in a situation with someone where you like them and you think they like you, except something is missing, your job isn't to overthink. Your job isn't to continue to pursue them, and your number one job is to keep it moving. You never want to be up in the air, have question marks swirling over your head about how someone feels about you, because they can say one thing and then be doing something different, or they can be doing something different and saying something totally opposite. It's the same situation. So do yourself a favor and don't allow yourself to invest money, energy, or time in someone that you like, that you hope likes them, you think they like you, but you're not sure. So don't do it. So that's what that one is. And it sounds like this person right here, well, number one, the first thing I said, she said she isn't ready for a relationship, remember? And heck, she came out and said it. And she also put on upon of that, she's been hurt. So not only is she not ready for a relationship, she's been dealing with some previous trauma that she's going through, trying to get over it. And then she's saying work is overwhelming her. So this is just a triple whammy. So just move on. It's just not, it's simply not worth it. She just don't have it in her to give to you what you need. All right, let's move on to the next one. Let's see. It says, is it possible for a relationship to work in the future if the initial attempt to make it work failed? Well, why did it fail? What was the issue? This reminds me of on again and off again relationships. Typically, you get in a relationship and you break up because something went wrong in the relationship. So let's just say you were in a relationship and whatever happened, right? So now when you come back, you're still the same people. Now we're evolving, and we're supposed to be evolving and learning and growing as humans. Yes. However, everyone doesn't do that. So let's just say you haven't evolved, and you're still that same old person you was before you met her, and she's still the same person before she met you, and now y'all back together. So how is it not going to fail? How are you going to prevent it from failing if no one has gotten down to the real issue of the matter? A job, you could be on a job and you don't have the necessary skills required, and then you fail and you get fired. And then 5 years on down the line, they see you again and they hire you and be like, well, surely they've learned something since then. And then you come back and then you moving on up in the company. Why? Because you grew, you learned from your previous mistakes, you've evolved physically, mentally, spiritually, work ethic, and all things in between. So that applies to relationships as well. If the relationship failed the first time and you see no changes within self, That's if you can be honest with self. You've made no changes, you see no room for error, you don't make no mistakes, that's a red flag. And if that other person may or may not have made mistakes, how do you think the relationship isn't going to fail again? It makes no sense. So the only way you can really succeed in a relationship is if both parties are doing their own work individually, and then you come together and then you figure out, okay, this was our issue before, but I've grown in this area, I've learned how to communicate in this area, or this happened to me before where I used to always blame other people for things that I was doing, but I've learned sometimes it's on me. So it just takes a level of emotional awareness, emotional intelligence, maturity, in order to work on something that failed before and succeed at it later on. Okay, we moving right along. We moving. All right. This one here says, can we avoid conflict and have healthy conversations? No. Okay. So I was talking to one of my clients. She's been my client for over a year now. We're right over a year now. And she has a tendency to not use her voice and think that if she doesn't talk about something, it'll just magically disappear. And that's not the case. And a lot of people say, I don't like conflict, I don't like confrontation, I'm not a confrontational person. You know me, I hate when people say that because that's silly. You're not confronting anyone, you're addressing whatever the issue is. It's a difference. So, no, you do not avoid conflict. You go right head dead on it, and you do it respectfully, you do it with love, you do it with facts versus emotion, and you get right on down to the nitty gritty of what the conflict is about. So in order to have a healthy relationship, you definitely are going to have conflict. You're not going to like everything about that partner that you're with, just like you're not going to like everything about your best friend. You're just not. And you're in a relationship with your best friend. They're your best friend. So what you do is instead of avoiding it, because with me, I've tried to do this recently in a previous friendship that I had to end, and I tried to avoid certain conversations with this person. I tried to not talk to them at certain times out of fear that they're going to bring up something or say something that's inappropriate or want to have a conversation with me that I'm not comfortable with doing, just because boundaries. And what it did, it made me this close. Y'all see that? That close to being crazy. And I'm not crazy. I'm not the cuckoo crazy. I'm the fun crazy. And I was going over into the unfun crazy. And I was venting every day to my mother and to my best close friend that knows the person as well, who's been around this person. And I was literally going insane because I was trying to avoid having a direct conversation of what I was struggling with this person. And only until I did it, and when I did it and had the conversation, it was so uncomfortable at first. However, it ended with a smile on my face, knowing that I no longer had to deal with certain behaviors from someone I considered to be a friend. And had I not had that conversation, oh my gosh, guys, y'all probably wouldn't even be looking at me at this video right now, because that conflict that I was having in that relationship, friendship, or whatever you want to call it, was literally draining the life out of me and making me snappy, angry, just frustrated. I had never felt that way before with someone. And it was just like, this is crazy. And why? It was making me crazy because I was doing here. I was avoiding the conflict, and therefore our relationship was turning toxic, and it was about to get real toxic on my end. They were doing things that just were inappropriate. However, because I wasn't having the conversation about what they're doing and addressing them and setting boundaries, it was making me crazy and turning me into an angry, mean, toxic person. So if you're listening to this right now, if you made it this far, hey, how are you doing? Give me a like if you like. And thank you. And you cannot avoid conflict. You have to face your fears, go with it with respect, go with it in a way that you would want someone to come at you, because we all don't know what we're doing that could be bothering someone. We can't read your mind. So don't avoid the conversation. Have it. And that is one of the main ingredients of a conversation. Of a relationship, is good, healthy, open communication. All right. Now let's see what else we got. Oh, for this commercial break, let me take some water, y'all. So, side note, I got this straw. You hear that? They have these straws at the, I was looking for straws, right? And so, you know, like metal straws, it's just a public service announcement. So they have the reusable straws, and they come with the little, they have ones that are straight up like this, and then they have the ones with the curve. I like the curve versus just being straight up. And so it's permanently curved. And I found them randomly at the Family Dollar. I think these straws, I don't know. I think they might have been I got like 4 of them plus a little thing to clean them for like $3. I think they were like $2.97. So if you're looking for these straws, look at your local Family Dollar. And now back to what I was doing. All right, let me find one more. One more. Oh, it's okay, guys. Sorry. Trying to get to one it's a lot of paragraphs here. Let me show y'all what I'm looking at. This is what I'm looking at. And here, let me tilt it to where you can see. All right. These are the questions. Look how long these questions is. So I'm trying to find one that's short to the point. God. I don't know if I'm going to find another one. Oh, look at this. Here's one. Okay. What are the red flags you have noticed in yourself after a relationship? This is a good question. This is from a young lady. What are the red flags you have noticed in yourself after a relationship? Oh, yeah. Y'all know I will tell y'all the truth about me because there is no shame in my game. There's no need for me to come on here and try to give you insight and then bury all of my bad secrets. Well, the thing is, how I was a red flag for very much so up until my mid 30s, and I'm 41 now. I was a red flag because I was super naive. I was gullible. I had what I now call the hearts in my eyes, which means I was infatuated with every guy that would look my way. I would talk to anyone, meaning even if I wasn't attracted to them, I've got into relationships with guys that I'm just not even remotely attracted to, but because they were nice guys, remember, I done a video on this. Just because he's the nice guy doesn't mean he's the right guy. And I would get with guys just because they're nice and they're financially stable and they want to date me and they're into me the way I used to be into others that were not into me. So I figure, well, if I go after this guy and he's not into me and he just wants to hang out and go with the flow, why not just get with the guy that I'm not remotely attracted to because he has an intention to be with me and he wants me to be his girlfriend and or fiance and future wife. So I used to be very thirsty. And what else? What's that other word that starts with it's not depressed. What's that word? It's a word I'm looking for, right? Desperate. There it is. I used to be super desperate. Desperate is the word of the day. And I used to be super desperate. And I can laugh about it because it's funny. Because it's to look back on me being a red flag. It was just like, girl, like, what were you thinking? It's like I didn't know my self-worth. I didn't know how to date. I was never taught what guys do, how they act when they're genuinely interested in a woman. I was never taught that you should really get to know his character before you decide that you like him or decide that you want to be intimate with him and you decide that you want to introduce him to like your family. I just was basically like a little bird. And not literally like a bird. I wasn't a bird, but I was literally, figuratively speaking, like a bird at 18. And I was pushed right on out my nest. And I had a little blindfold on and I hit the ground. I didn't die, but I hit that ground hard. And on the way down, I dated all kinds of guys that generally just saw me as, okay, she's a pretty face. I'm attracted to her. Now, what can I get from her? Then once I'm getting whatever I can get, whatever that may be, because it's all different for different guys, then I'm going to drop her off. And as she's falling on down out that tree, then I'll meet. I done met all kinds of guys when I was desperate and thirsty, didn't know who I am, didn't love myself, lack of self-respect. I met all kinds of guys. I met guys that were super wealthy. I met guys that were broke as a joke. And I met a handful of guys along the way that were actually genuinely great husband material guys. However, because I didn't know who I was and I didn't love myself and I had no idea of what genuine, authentic, organic love looked like, I didn't even know how to relate, how to act, how to engage, how to be emotionally available. I didn't know jack diddly but what was on the surface, and there was no substance with me. It was just what you see is what you get. Cute face, that's it. Outside of that, she's good, she has a fun personality, but there really ain't nothing going on behind the scenes. So that's how I was a red flag. How do I know all of this? Because I took time out with myself. I learned who I was. I got tired of attracting the guys that would go with the flow, or guys who never wanted to put a title on anything. I've had guys that I've dated who have literally introduced me to their entire families. I'm talking about mother, children, daddy's wife, mama's husband, everybody, cousins, nieces, nephews, but they never said, oh, I want you to be my woman. And it was the strangest thing. And I remember the last guy who did that to me, we had dated for months. I met his entire family. I was always at his dad's house. He invited me to his work functions. It was a lot. And finally, and he was a great guy. I have no complaints of how he treated me, other than, what is it, the milk they want? They ain't gonna buy the cow when they get the milk for free, that thing. And finally, I told him at brunch one day, I was just like, I can't do this. I just cannot continue to act like we're in a relationship, but you refuse to give me the title of girlfriend. And so then it didn't get better, it got worse. And so then, like, summer 2017 is really when I really put a stop to my red flag self. And I sat down with myself and I went over all my previous experiences. And I went over why I am the way I am when it comes to guys, and why do I date the way I date, and why do I like the kind of guys that I like, and why do I think it's okay to do certain things and say certain things and post certain things and try to get attention. What is wrong with me? And then I sat down with myself, picked myself apart, build myself back up, and here I am. No more desperate little girl. And I don't attract those kinds of guys anymore. I actually have attracted a great guy, one that is of great character, one that puts God first, one that loves himself and knows who he is and doesn't lead with his ego, one that is aware of self, one that can reciprocate love like I used to give it out but never got it back, one that is an open, honest communicator. So that's what you get. So the moral of the story is, I was a red flag. I didn't notice it for a long time, but when I did, I fixed it. And I'm no longer a red flag. I'm a wife. No. All right, guys. So if you made it this far, thank you. So this is Coach B. Wiley here. If you want more Ask B. Wileys, feel free to ask me your questions. If you want to ask me a question, DM me, inbox me, go on Quora, Quora.com, and ask me a question. Don't look it up. Don't say, okay, on Quora, B. Wiley. That's what you look me up as, B. Wiley. On everything else, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Coach B. Wiley. I'm Coach B. Wiley on everything except for Quora.com, okay? So go on there, ask me your questions. And then outside of that, guys, I hope you have a good Sunday. I hope your week is just getting off to a good start. Hope you're having a good morning. And I hope you're drinking your water. Cheers. Because I know I am. So if you like this page and if you like this content, feel free to subscribe to my channel and share it with a friend. All right, guys, talk to you later.